Hare Krishna, invocation prayers, please.
Hare Krishna. May I start, Prabhu?
Go ahead.
Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chaksurmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Guruve Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Karamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vande Ham Sri Guru Sri Yutapata Kamalam Sri Guru Vaishnavscha Sri Rupam Sagrajam Sahagana Raghunatham Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadudam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Saha Gana Lalita Sri Visakan Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesa Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostude Tapta Kanjana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Risabhanu Sutadevi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Baya Ivacha Pratitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavobhyo Namo Namaha Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhaktaranda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Om Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Bhagavate Vasudevaya Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, thank you all for coming. So today we will cover Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 18 from verse 12 onwards. We'll complete till 32, and then we will also cover Chapter 19, at least the first 9 verses. We have very few devotees online, others are occupied in other activities. Let's do with a quick recap of stacking points and inquiries from before.
Hare Krishna, can I go ahead for the difference between the liberated and the conditioned soul?
Yeah.
See, it's like the present, the conditioned soul is hampered by 4 defects. Number 1, they commit mistakes. It is sure to become illusion, and to cheat others. The senses are imperfect. Then, for the thing to take direction from liberated soul, we have to take care. If the liberated person follows the supreme liberated personality of God, right? Naturally, they are liberated from the contaminations of the material nature. So, materialistic men are not interested in taking directions from liberated persons. This is what my humble person.
Okay, very good. And Prabhupada also says that even if you are not perfect, if you simply follow the instructions of the liberated person or spiritual master or Krishna himself, then you will be perfect. Okay, very good. What else?
We should know that the super soul, the supreme personality of Godhead, has some plan, and we should not consider his activities contradictory. The best course is to surrender to the supreme personality of peaceful Prabhuji.
Okay, very good. Yeah, we may not understand. We just surrender and know that Krishna has a plan. Right? What else? Any inquiries?
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Just how Mother Earth argues, saying that the Lord, you protected me as Dharadhara, and you are now planning to kill me. So that is what. So the Lord's inconceivable potencies we would not be able to understand unless and until we are a devotee. Hare Krishna.
Okay, very good. All right, let's continue Canto 4, Chapter 18 from verse 12 onwards. So the context or the recap of where we are is that seeing Prithu Maharaj is still not satisfied from the various prayers Mother Earth offered. Earth explains the reasons for hiding the seeds and the herbs which are meant for sacrifice. With Vena in mind, Earth is saying that Earth is not protected because no sacrifice were being performed. And the second reason is that Earth is not respected because of the spread of irreligion. And when Vena died, the place became filled with thieves. Hence, Earth devoured all the herbs and grains so that these are available for sacrifices that may be started in future by Prithu Maharaj. Plus, Earth also explains the method to milk Earth and get everything from Earth. So part 2 is verses 12 to 28. Title is Prithu Maharaj and others milk the earth. So after now hearing the pleasing and beneficial words of the earth, now Prithu Maharaj is satisfied. Prithu Maharaj now makes Swayambhuva Manu as the calf, and Prithu Maharaj milked all the herbs and grains, as well as various other personalities also milked earth and got various items. So we'll read all those verses. They're pretty straightforward verses. Is our dear Aditi able to read verses 12 to 17 translations?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, I would read on our behalf, Prabhu. Text 12, translation. After hearing the auspicious and pleasing words of the planet Earth, the king accepted them. He then transformed Swayambhu Manu into a calf and milked all the herbs and grains from the earth in the form of a cow, keeping them in his cupped hands. 13. Text translation. Others who were as intelligent as King Prithu also took the essence out of the earthly planet. Indeed, everyone took this opportunity to follow in the footsteps of King Prithu and get whatever he desired from the planet's earth. Text 14 translation. All the great sages transformed Brihaspati into a calf, and making the senses into a pot, they milked all kinds of Vedic knowledge to purify words, mind, and hearing. Text 15. All the demigods made Indra, the king of heaven, into a calf, and from the earth they milked the beverage soma, which is nectar. Thus they became very powerful in mental speculation and bodily and sensual strength. Text 16. The sons of Diti and the demons transformed Prahlad Maharaj, who was born in an Asura family, and they extracted various kinds of liquor and beer, which they put into a pot made of iron. Text 17. The inhabitants of Gandharvaloka and Apsaraloka made Vishwavasu into a calf, and they drew the milk into a lotus flower pot. The milk took the shape of sweet musical art and beauty. Hare Krishna.
So various personalities made few others as calf and milked the earth and got various items, like Prithu Maharaj made Swayambhuva Manu as the calf and got herbs and grains. Then sages made Brihaspati as the calf and got the Vedic hymns. Demigods got the soma nectar. The Daityas got liquor, and the Gandharvas and Apsara got musical art and beauty. So these same thought process continues till verse number 25, that how different personalities milked earth to get the different items. Now, verse number 18 describes the Shraddh ritual. So many years back, our dear Sridhar Prabhu had asked this question about Shraddh ritual. Gets answered here, as well as is also described in Chaitanya Charitamrita. Let's read verse 18, translation and purport. Shivangi, 18, translation and purport.
Verse 18, translation. The fortunate inhabitants of Pitraloka, who preside over the funeral ceremonies, made Aryama into a calf. With great faith, they milked kavya, food offered to the ancestors, into an unbaked earthen pot. Purport. In Bhagavad Gita 9.25, it is said, Pitranyati Pitrvitaha. Those who are interested in family welfare are called Pitrvitaha. There is a planet called Pitraloka, and the predominating deity of that planet is called Aryama. He is somewhat of a demigod, and by satisfying him, one can help ghostly family members develop a gross body. Those who are very sinful and attached to their family, house, village, or country do not receive a gross body made of material elements but remain in a subtle body, composed of mind, ego, and intelligence. Those who live in such subtle bodies are called ghosts. This ghostly position is very painful because the ghost has intelligence, mind, and ego and wants to enjoy material life, but because he doesn't have a gross material body, he can only create disturbances for want of material satisfaction. It is the duty of family members, especially the son, to offer oblations to the demigod Aryama or to Lord Vishnu. From time immemorial in India, the son of a dead man goes to Gaya, and at a Vishnu temple there, offers oblations for the benefit of his ghostly father. It is not that everyone's father becomes a ghost, but the oblations of Pinda are offered to the lotus feet of Lord Vishnu so that if a family member happens to become a ghost, he will be favored with a gross body. However, if one is habituated to taking the prasada of Lord Vishnu, there is no chance of his becoming a ghost or anything other than a human being. In Vedic civilization, there is a performance called Shraddha, by which food is offered with faith and devotion. If one offers oblations with faith and devotion, either to the lotus feet of Lord Vishnu or to his representative in Pitraloka, Aryama, one's forefathers will attain material bodies to enjoy whatever material enjoyment is due to them. In other words, they do not have to become ghosts. Hare Krishna.
So if you always take Krishna Prasad, always chant Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, then there is no chance of one becoming a ghost. And if by any chance the predecessors are in the ghost body, then you offer Pindadan by first offering Bhoga to Lord Krishna, Vishnu, and then offering that prasad to the predecessors, and then they will be favored to get a gross body. So we don't have to be worried about it. You all are devotees. You all are following Krishna conscious process. So there is no chance of becoming a ghost. But in the theory part is explained about the Shraddha ritual here. Questions, comments, realizations? All right, so this discussion about milking earth continues. Mother Jija will read 19 to 25 translations.
Text 19, translation. After this, the inhabitants of Siddhaloka as well as the inhabitants of Vidyadhara Loka transformed the great sage Kapila into a calf and making the whole sky into a pot, they milked out specific yogic mystic powers, beginning with anima. Indeed, the inhabitants of Vidyadhara Loka acquired the art of flying in the sky. Text 20. Others also, the inhabitants of planets known as Kimpura Rusa Loka, made the demon Maya into a calf, and they milked out mystic powers by which one can disappear immediately from others' vision and appear again in a different form. Text 21. Translation. Then the Yakshas, Rakshasas, ghosts and witches who are inhabited to eat flesh, transformed Lord Shiva's incarnation Rudra Bhutanatha into a calf and milked out beverages made of blood and put them in a pot made of skulls. Text 22, translation. Thereafter, cobras and snakes without hoods, large snakes, scorpions, and many other poisonous animals took poison out of the planet Earth as their milk and kept this poison in snakes' holes. They made a calf out of Takshaka. Text 23 to 24. The four-legged animals like the cow made a calf out of the bull who carries Lord Shiva and made a milking pot out of the forest. Thus they got fresh green grasses to eat. Ferocious animals like tigers transformed a lion into a calf, and thus they were able to get flesh for milk. The birds made a calf out of Garuda and took milk from the planet Earth in the form of moving insects and non-moving plants and grasses. Text 25. The trees made a calf out of the banyan tree, and thus they derived milk in the form of many delicious juices. The mountains transformed the Himalayas into a calf, and they milked a variety of minerals into a pot made of the peak of hills. Hare Krishna.
So Earth supplied everyone, and this way Prithu Maharaj is pleased. Chandran Prabhu, 26 to 28 translations.
Hare Krishna. Text 26. The planet Earth supplied everyone his respective food. During the time of King Prithu, the earth was fully under the control of the king. Thus, all the inhabitants of the earth could get their food supply by creating various types of calves and putting their particular types of milk in various pots. Text 27. My dear Vidura, chief of the Kurus, in this way, King Prithu and all the others who subsist on food created different types of calves and milk out their respective eatables. Thus, they received their various foodstuffs, which were symbolized as milk. Text 28. Thereafter, King Prithu was very satisfied with the planet Earth, for she sufficiently supplied all food to various living entities. Thus, he developed an affection for the planet Earth, just as if she were his own daughter. Hare Krishna.
Questions, comments, realizations, pretty straightforward verses anyway. All right, now part 3 is verses 29 to 32. Title is Establishment of Planned Cities by Prithu Maharaj. So the verses are straightforward, and these explain that town and city planning began from the time of Prithu Maharaj. So here our dear Shivangi, she is a planner that does the planning of cities, and I guess is very relevant to the actual work that she does in the material world. That is all planning of cities started from the time of Prithu Maharaj. Is Kalyani able to read 29 to 32 or Srila Prabhu?
I would read on our behalf, Prabhu. 29. After this, the king of all kings, Maharaj Prithu, leveled all rough places on the surface of the globe by breaking up the hills, the strength of his bow. By his grace, the surface of the globe almost became flat. Shloka 30. To all the citizens of the state, King Prithu was as good as the father. Thus, he was visibly engaged in giving them proper subsistence and proper employment for subsistence. After leveling the surface of the globe, he earmarked different places for residential quarters in as much as they were desirable. Text 31. In this way, the king founded many types of villages, settlements, and towns, and built forts, residences for cows, cowherdsmen, stables for the animals, and places for the royal camps, mining places, agricultural towns, and mountain villages. Text 32. Before the reign of King Prithu, there was no planned arrangement for different cities, villages, pasturing grounds, etc. Everything was scattered, and everyone constructed his residential quarters according to his own convenience. However, since King Prithu, plans were made for towns and villages. Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Questions, comments, realizations? Shivangi?
Prabhuji, can you remind me again? Does this happen in the Satya Yuga, this pastime?
So let's think. Yes, this is still in Satya Yuga. In the previous unit for Dhruv Maharaj, the mantra given by spiritual master Narad Muni was Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudeva. Yeah, so this is still Satyug time.
Okay, thank you, Prabhuji.
Yeah, and Shivangi is bang to the point, correct? She mentioned in the chat that good to see the origin of my town planning profession in Srimad Bhagavatam. Yeah. Shivangi, read Canto 2, Chapter 10, title.
Yes, Prabhuji. Enter 2, Chapter 10. Bhagavatam is the answer to all questions.
Bhagavatam gives everything.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Very good. Yeah, so Shivangi, your town planning exercise is as old as Satyug time. Is very long time away.
Yeah, so cool. Very cool, Prabhuji. Very interesting.
All right. Let's discuss the first part of chapter 19. So chapter 19 is titled King Pruthu's 100 horse sacrifices. Is divided into 3 parts. Part 1, verses 1 to 9. Performance of Ashwamedh Yajna by Prithu Maharaj. Part 2, verses 10 to 25. Indra steals the sacrificial horse and creates heretics. Part 3 is verses 26 to 42. Brahmaji appears on the scene to dissuade Prithu Maharaj and the priest from killing Indra. Everybody got the parts division. All right. So verse number 2 purport describes the term matsara. Matsara means enviousness. So here's a question for all of you. Where have we discussed the term Nirmat Saranam? So Nirmat Saranam is the opposite of Matsara. Anybody?
It's either verse 1, 2, or 3 in Canto 1, Chapter 1. Eugene.
Yeah, very good. So it's 1.1.2 explains Nirmat Saranam as the quality of devotees who are non-envious. Only they can understand Srimad Bhagavatam. So you all are Nirmat Sarana. Very good. So let's read Shivangi, chapter 19, verse 1 and 2, translation and purports.
Chapter 19, Text 1. The great sage Maitreya continued. My dear Vidura, King Prithu initiated the performance of 100 horse sacrifices at the spot where the river Saraswati flows towards the east. This piece of land is known as Brahmavatta and it was controlled by Swayambhuva Manu. Text 2. Translation. When the most powerful Indra, the king of heaven, saw this, he considered the fact that King Prithu was going to exceed him in fruitive activities. Thus Indra could not tolerate the great sacrificial ceremonies performed by King Prithu. Purpose. In the material world, everyone who comes to enjoy himself or lord it over material nature is envious of others. This envy is also found in the personality of the king of heaven, Indra. As evident from revealed scriptures, Indra was several times envious of many persons. He was especially envious of great fruitive activities in the execution of yoga practices or siddhis. Indeed, he could not tolerate them, and he desired to break them up. He was envious due to fear that those who perform great sacrifices for the execution of mystic yoga might occupy his seat. Since no one in this material world can tolerate another's advancement, everyone in the material world is called Matsara, envious. In the beginning of Srimad Bhagavatam, it is therefore said that Srimad Bhagavatam is meant for those who are completely nirmatsara, non-envious. In other words, one who is not free from the contamination of envy cannot advance in Krishna consciousness. In Krishna consciousness, however, if someone excels another person, the devotee who is excelled thinks how fortunate the other person is to be advancing in devotional service. Such non-envy is typical of Vaikuntha. However, when one is envious of his competitor, that is material. The demigods posted in the material world are not exempt from envy. Hare Krishna.
So in the material world, everyone has come to enjoy himself and lord over the material nature. Therefore, he is envious of others. And this envy is found even in Indra, the king of heaven. Indra was envious due to fear that those who perform the great sacrifice might occupy his seat. And the point being made with this is that no one in the material world can tolerate another's advancement. Everyone in material world is called Matsara, envious. But those who are Krishna conscious, they are not envious of others. Krishna conscious devotees, they try to help others. Questions, comments, realizations? So verses 3 to 9 describes how Prithu Maharaj's sacrifice excelled Indra's sacrifice. That Lord Vishnu and various other personalities, including Brahmaji, Shiva, they were all present at Prithu Maharaj's sacrifice. Mother Jija was 3 and 4 translation. So all these verses are straightforward.
Text 3. Translation. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Vishnu, is present in everyone's heart as the Super Soul, and he is the proprietor of all planets and the enjoyer of the results of all sacrifices. He was personally present at the sacrifice made by King Prithu. Text 4. Translation. When Lord Vishnu appeared in the sacrificial arena, Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, and all the chief predominating personalities of every planet, as well as their followers, came with him. When he appeared on the scene, the residents of Gandharva Loka, the great sages, and the residents of Apsara Loka also praised him. Hare Krishna.
And same way, verse 5 and 6 are also straightforward. Chandran Prabhu, 5 and 6 translations.
Hare Krishna. Text 5. The Lord was accompanied by the residents of Siddhaloka and Vidyadhara Loka, all the descendants of Diti and the demons and the yakshas. He was also accompanied by his chief associates, headed by Sunanda and Nanda. Text 6. Great devotees who were always engaged in the service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, as well as the great sages named Kapila, Narada, and Dattatreya, and masters of mystic powers, headed by Sanaka Kumara, all attended the great sacrifice with Lord Vishnu.
Very good. Now, in the sacrifice, various items were offered, and these are described in verses 7 to 9. So we'll read verse 8 and 9 purports, and while we read, let us try to find key points from the verses 8 and 9 purports. Sridhar Prabhu, 7 translation and then 8 translation plus purport.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Kalyani will read, Prabhu.
Text 7, Hare Krishna. My dear Vidura, in the great sacrifice, the entire land came to be like the milk-producing Kamadhenu, and thus by the performance of yajna, all daily necessities for life were supplied. Text 8. The flowing rivers supplied all kinds of taste, sweet, pungent, sour, etc., and very big trees supplied fruit and honey in abundance. The cows, having eaten sufficient green grass, supplied profuse quantities of milk, curd, clarified butter, and similar other necessities. Purport. If rivers are not polluted and are allowed to flow in their own way, or sometimes allowed to flood the land will become very fertile and able to produce all kinds of vegetables, trees, and plants. The word rasa means taste. Actually, all rasas are taste within the earth, and as soon as seeds are sown in the ground, various trees sprout up to satisfy our different tastes. For instance, sugarcane provides its juices to satisfy our taste for sweetness, and oranges provide their juices to satisfy our taste for a mixture of the sour and the sweet. Similarly, there are pineapples and other fruits. At the same time, there are chilies to satisfy our taste for pungency. Although the earth's ground is the same, different tastes arise due to different kinds of seeds. As Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita 7.10, Bijam Mam Sarva Bhutanam. I am the original seed of all existence. Therefore, all arrangements are there. and as stated in Isopanishad Puranam Idam, complete arrangements for the production of all the necessities of life are made by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. People should therefore learn how to satisfy the Yagna Purusha, Lord Vishnu. Indeed, the living entity's prime business is to satisfy the Lord, because the living entity is part and parcel of the Lord. Thus, the whole system is so arranged that the living entity must do his duty as is constitutionally made. Without doing so, all living entities must suffer. That is the law of nature. The words Taravo Bhuri Vashmanaha indicate very luxuriantly grown, big bodied trees. The purpose of these trees was to produce honey and varieties of fruit. In other words, the forest also has its purpose in supplying honey, fruits, and flowers. Unfortunately, in Kali Yuga, due to an absence of yagna, there are many big trees in the forest, but they do not supply sufficient fruits and honey. Thus, everything is dependent on the performance of yagna. The best way to perform yagna in this age is to spread the Sankirtana movement all over the world. Hare Krishna.
Chandran Prabhu, verse 9, translation and purport, and then we'll discuss these two verses.
Hare Krishna. Text 9. King Prathu was presented with various gifts from the general populace and predominating deities of all planets. The oceans and seas were full of valuable jewels and pearls, and the hills were full of chemicals and fertilizers. 4 kinds of edibles were produced profusely. Purport. As stated in Sisopanishad, this material creation is supplied with all the potencies for the production of all necessities required by the living entities, not only human beings, but animals, reptiles, aquatics, and trees. The oceans and seas produce pearls, coral, and valuable jewels so that fortunate, law-abiding people can utilize them. Similarly, the hills are full of chemicals so that when rivers flow down from them, the chemicals spread over the fields to fertilize the 4 kinds of foodstuffs. These are technically known as charbia, those edibles which are chewed, lehea, those which are licked up, chusia, those which are swallowed, and peya, those which are drunk. Ritu Maharaja was greeted by the residents of other planets and their presiding deities. They presented various gifts to the king and acknowledged him as the proper type of king by whose planning and activities everyone throughout the universe could be happy and prosperous. It is clearly indicated in this verse that the oceans and seas are meant for producing jewels, but in Kali Yuga, the oceans are mainly being utilized for fishing. Sudras and poor men were allowed to fish, but the higher classes like the Kshatriyas and Vaishyas would gather pearls, jewels, and coral. Although poor men would catch tons of fish, they would not be equal in value to 1 piece of coral or pearl. In this age, so many factories for the manufacture of fertilizers have been opened. But when the personality of Godhead is pleased by the performance of yagnas, the hills automatically produce fertilizing chemicals, which help produce edibles in the fields. Everything is dependent on the people's acceptance of the Vedic principle of sacrifice. Hare Krishna.
All right. What were the key points from the purports 8 and 9? Anybody?
The different.
Sorry, Chandran Prabhu, I'll unmute. I muted.
Can I stop?
Yeah, go ahead, Chandran.
The ninth, the key point is the different tastes arise due to different kinds of seeds. But the Lord says is the original seed of all existence.
Okay, very good.
Yeah, the arrangements, the story is the Supreme Person of Godhead, and one should learn how to satisfy the Yagna Purusa, Lord Vishnu. Living entity must do this duty. This is what is.
Okay, very good. What else?
If we, through yagna, if we satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead, our everything, the nature performs, will be in its own state, and it satisfies all the needs of the living entities.
Okay, very good. Shivangi.
What struck out to me is that it says here the oceans are responsible for producing the jewels and the precious kind of stones. But right now in Kali Yuga, it's only being used for fishing and other kind of industries. So
Yeah.
that's interesting.
Very good. So all good, correct points. That the rasas are taste within earth, that as soon as seeds are sown in the ground, various different trees sprout up. So it's the same earth, but it's giving different rasas. Example, you get sugarcane for sweetness, then you get oranges for sweet and sour taste, and then you get chilies for spices. So it's the same earth, but it's giving different kinds of output in rasas. So how this is possible is because this is Krishna's arrangement. And Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita 7.10 that he is the original seed of all existence, and all these are Krishna's arrangement. And this the same point is described in Shishopanishad invocation mantra also, that the material universes are complete and provide all necessities of life. And therefore, people should learn to satisfy the Yajna Purusha, Lord Vishnu. Because we are all parts and parcels of the Lord. And the whole system is so arranged that living entity must do his duty and see that by doing his duty, he is satisfying the Lord. And the best way in Kali Yuga, the best yajna, or actually the only yajna possible in Kali Yuga, is the Sankirtan yajna. Questions, comments, realizations? All right, so I'm not going to cover more verses today because we will not finish what I start. So first I'm going to give you spiritual endeavor questions, and I'll then discuss the upcoming presentations for this unit. So question number 1 is, explain the import of the word Matsara. Comes from verse number 2. Second question is, list the main points from the purports to text number 8 and 9. So I have a calendar on the screen that on coming Saturday 18th, we will aim to finish this chapter 19 and this unit 17. Now, because we are on this shorter length classes, therefore, we'll do the unit presentations in 2 classes. It will not be possible to finish in 1 hour. So on October 25th, you all will do Unit 17 presentation for chapters 13 to 16. And on the following Saturday, November 1st, you all will do the presentations for Unit 17, leftover chapters 17 to 19. So on the Google Excel, for the Srimad Bhagavatam presentations, I will add dates also. So I request all of you to let me know your presentation slots. So the Bhagavatam Excel for unit this unit 17 is not yet ready. It will be ready in a day or so. You can follow the link that you already have from before, and it's a read-only link for you all. So you can let me know your presentation slot, and then I will populate your name. So the presentation will be over 2 classes, 25th October and November 1st. Questions, comments, realizations?
Hare Krishna Prabhu. So it's from chapter 13 to 19. Is my understanding correct, Prabhu? Unit 17?
Correct. 13 to 19 is unit 17, and we'll finish this leftover chapter 19 on 18th coming Saturday. Then 25th, the revision will be for 13 to 16. And on November 1st will be revision for 17 to 19. So if you're traveling, if anyone is traveling, can consider to do the recording. I know Shri Prabhu, you are traveling.
Yes, Prabhu.
All right. So last class at batch number 5, some of you attended the session and some of you listened to the recording in terms of how to read Srimad Bhagavatam purports. I think Chandan Prabhu is only, Mother Jija also. You want to share with the rest of the devotees what you heard about how to read Bhagavatam purports? Chandan Prabhu, Mother Jija.
Prabhuji, the key points, we must share with the true devotees, and then hearing through the thing
Okay.
to process.
Okay. So let me, because we have 10 minutes or so, let me show that slide for the benefit of all. And let me discuss. So when you read Bhagavatam, what should be your focus? And I'll give you an example for this, that I am actually not covering all these points. If I cover all these points, you all will run away. So if a verse is a key memorization or key theme verse, you should try to memorize. And another point is that when you are reading, try to find the essence of the verse or the essence of the section. Now, because I had given this for batch 5 devotees and they are in Canto 1, therefore the examples are from Canto 1. You can apply the same principle across all cantos. So the example I have given is that Srimad Bhagavatam 1.2.12 to 25. The essence is that hearing Srimad Bhagavatam is the process for achieving pure devotion to Krishna. And these verses then have, some of these verses also have an essence. So 12 to 22 describe the entire process from Shraddha to Prema. Then verse number 1.2.12 specifically focuses on Shraddha. Then 1.2.16 specifically focuses on Sadhu Sangha. So this way you can focus on the key point of the verse as well as the essence of the entire series of verses. Another important point that you have to focus on is personal application, that how Srimad Bhagavatam is practically changing you. Example 1.1.3 describes cheating religion versus Srimad Bhagavatam teaching the highest religion of Krishna. This is also there in 1.2.6. Plus, this hearing point is there in so many verses, for example, 1.1.13 to 21. Then this whole section of 1.2.12 to 22. The whole focus is on personal application of hearing. Now, realizations, that's the next point you focus on. So if you read 1.1.10, it explains the standard of people in Kali Yuga. In 1.2.7, we have discussed the difference of knowledge, that which knowledge is a limb of bhakti and which knowledge is not a limb of bhakti. Now, for this personal application and realizations, while you are reading Bhagavatam purports, you have to focus on what changes can be made in your day-to-day life so that you can apply these personal applications and realizations. Then you cross-link with other scriptures. So example 1.2.6 talks about devotional service to Krishna. And the same points are explained in Bhagavad Gita 9.34, 11:55, 18:65, 18:66. I'm only giving few examples. There are many more. And the same point is also there in Nectar of Devotion with the pure devotional service verse of Anyabhilashita Shunyam. Essentially, if you read Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, and Nectar of Devotion, they're all talking of the same point. And then you focus on preaching application. That 1.1.1, 1.1.2, 1.2.10, 1.2.6, all these are important verses, 1.2.11, that you can use in your preaching application. Now, the difficult one is mood and mission. This is very difficult. It's you have to be little seasoned and a thorough reading multiple times to come to understand the mood and mission. For example, the preface has the role of Srimad Bhagavatam in Krishna's mission to re-spiritualize the world. And then 1.2.4 as an example of the mood of devotee. The devotee is always anxious to do good to others. Then there is analogy. Srimad Bhagavatam is littered with analogies. An example in 1.1.1 analogy is that Krishna knows everything, just as the project engineer knows every part of the project. Another analogy is Krishna existed before creation and will exist after creation, just as scientists exist before and after creation of satellite. And then Bhagavatam has some examples given to prove the point. That example of the example is that 1.1.3 says sum total of all rasas is love. And the example is given that how a man loves a woman. So I request all of you to please take a snapshot of what you have on the screen. And you can follow this process while you are reading Srimad Bhagavatam. Now do understand that I am not covering Bhagavatam in so much detail. If I sit and cover all these points for many of the verses, well, it will take us almost 20 some years to complete Srimad Bhagavatam. Therefore, I am only covering important points. Does not mean rest of the points are not important. I'm covering few points so that we can learn, apply, and keep us interested and moving rather than being stuck. I'll give you a practical example that Srimad Bhagavatam is prayer after prayer after prayer after prayer. And the first set of mini prayers in Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 7, verses 22 to 25. And then a full set of prayers is in Canto 1, Chapter 8, Kunti Maharani prayers, and Canto 1, Chapter 9, Bhishmate prayers. So at our class, these first set of mini prayers, the 4 verses of Canto 1, Chapter 7, verses 22 to 25, I covered them in about 5 minutes or so. But for my Bhakti Vaibhav Srimad Bhagavatam study, I have actually given a 30-minute lecture just on the first verse of the 4 set of verses. So 1.7.22, I have given a class for about 30 minutes where I am touching base on all or many of these points, that essence, memorizing, recitation, then personal application, realization, then cross-link, then preaching, then mood and mission. I have touched on all these points. But in our class, not just one verse, the 4 verses of the first set of mini prayers of 1.7.22 to 25, I covered in about 5 minutes. So if anybody wants to listen to my that 1.7.22 30 minutes lecture, just so that you can compare that in class, I didn't cover all these points. From your notes, you can see that I covered 1.7.22 to 25 in about 5 minutes. While one verse of those 4 verses, 1.7.22, I've actually given a class for 30 minutes. So if anybody is interested, you can please let me know and I can send you that, that class recording for your comparison and understanding that I am not covering all these points in detail. Questions, comments, realizations? All right, we are at 1 o'clock Toronto time. We'll stop here. Hare Krishna, everybody.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.